Emma Carter had always believed that ordinary days could suddenly become unforgettable. She was 24 years old and worked in a small cafe beside Willow Lake, a peaceful town where everyone knew each other. Every morning she opened the cafe before sunrise, baked fresh bread, smiled at every customer, and listened to the birds singing outside the window. Her life was simple, but she dreamed of something more. She wanted to travel, write stories, and someday find a person who would love her for exactly who she was. Many people thought she asked for too much, but Emma believed that real love should never feel forced. It should arrive naturally, like the first warm day after a long winter. One rainy afternoon, while closing the cafe, Emma noticed a young man sitting alone on a bench beside the lake. He wore a dark blue jacket, and his hair was soaked by the rain. Most people would have hurried home, but he remained there, staring across the water as if waiting for someone who never came. Emma hesitated before walking toward him with a warm cup of coffee. "You look like you could use this," she said with a gentle smile. The young man looked surprised. "I don't have any money with me." Emma placed the cup beside him. "Then it's a gift." He smiled for the first time. "Thank you." His smile was calm but carried sadness behind it. "I'm Daniel." "Emma." They stood silently for a moment, watching the rain create circles on the lake. Finally, Emma asked, "Are you waiting for someone?" Daniel looked at the water again. "Not anymore." Before Emma could ask another question, he thanked her once more and quietly walked away into the rain. She watched until he disappeared around the corner, somehow feeling that this would not be the last time they met. The following morning, Daniel entered the cafe. His clothes were dry this time, and he smiled when he saw Emma behind the counter. "I came to pay for yesterday's coffee," he said. Emma laughed softly. "You really remembered." Daniel placed a few coins on the counter. Some kindness deserves to be remembered. He ordered breakfast, and before leaving, he thanked her once again. Soon it became a habit. Every morning Daniel visited the cafe before work. He always sat beside the window overlooking the lake. They spoke about books, music, favorite places, childhood memories, and dreams for the future. Daniel had recently moved to Willow Lake after accepting a job as an architect. He loved restoring old buildings instead of replacing them. "Old places have stories," he often said. "If we destroy them, we lose part of ourselves." Emma admired the way he looked at the world. He noticed beauty where others saw only broken walls. Weeks passed and their friendship grew stronger. One Saturday, Daniel invited Emma to help clean an abandoned lighthouse outside town. The old building stood on a cliff overlooking the sea. Together they swept dusty floors, cleaned broken windows, and laughed when they accidentally covered each other with dust. At sunset they climbed to the top. The view was breathtaking. Orange and pink clouds stretched across the sky while waves gently crashed below. Daniel quietly said, "This place deserves another chance." Emma looked at him instead of the view. Some people do too. Their eyes met for a long moment before both smiled shyly. From that day forward, they spent nearly every weekend together. They visited small villages, walked through forests, and watched stars beside the lake. People around town soon began whispering that they looked perfect together. Even Emma's elderly neighbor smiled knowingly whenever Daniel arrived at the cafe. "That young man looks at you as if you're the only person in the world," she teased. Emma laughed, but secretly she hoped it was true. One evening, Daniel invited Emma to a music festival by the lake. Thousands of small lanterns floated across the water while local musicians played gentle songs. As fireworks painted the sky with blue and purple colors, Daniel nervously reached for Emma's hand. She did not pull away. Instead, she gently held his hand too. Neither of them spoke. They didn't need words. Everything felt peaceful. As the final fireworks disappeared, Daniel whispered, "I'm really glad I met you." Emma smiled. "So am I." For the first time in many years, both believed they had found someone special. A few weeks later, Daniel surprised Emma with a small notebook wrapped in blue ribbon. "For your stories," he said. Emma looked at the blank pages. "How did you know I wanted to write?" Daniel smiled. "Because every time you look at the lake, you aren't really looking at the lake. You're imagining another story." Emma laughed happily. "Maybe you know me better than I know myself." That evening she wrote her first sentence. Inside the notebook, she titled it, "The Boy Who Came with the Rain." Summer slowly turned into autumn. Their love quietly grew without either of them needing to confess it. Then one afternoon everything changed. While organizing old photographs inside the cafe, Emma found a newspaper lying on a table. On the front page was a large picture of Daniel standing beside an elegant young woman wearing a business suit. The headline read, "Famous business family announces daughter's engagement to architect Daniel Brooks." Emma stared at the page. Her hands began to shake. She read the article again and again. It clearly said that Daniel had been engaged only 6 months earlier before suddenly leaving the city. Emma could hardly breathe. At that exact moment, the cafe door opened. Daniel entered carrying fresh flowers. He immediately noticed the newspaper in Emma's hands. His smile disappeared. Neither of them spoke. The silence between them felt heavier than any words. Finally, Emma quietly asked, "Were you ever going to tell me?" Daniel lowered his head. "I was." "When?" she whispered. "After I had already fallen completely in love with you." Daniel stepped forward. "Emma, please let me explain." Tears filled her eyes. "Is it true?" After several painful seconds, Daniel answered softly, "Yes." Emma slowly placed the flowers back into his hands. "Then everything we've shared has been built on a secret." She walked past him without another word. Daniel remained standing alone in the empty cafe, holding flowers that suddenly felt heavier than stone. Outside, the first cold autumn rain began to fall, just like the day they first met beside Willow Lake. But this time, neither of them knew whether love would be enough to bring them back together.